my name is Becca. Welcome back to Raising Them Simply. Here we share all about our secular homeschool as a family of 5, and today we're going to be chatting about our new daily flow / schedule that we have been doing the last several days that's been working really well for us. If you are new here, I have a 2nd grader, a preschooler, and a toddler running around in the mix. I'm also expecting our newest little family member, and I am a part-time working mom as a nurse. So this channel is all things homeschool and how we make it work for our family. So if any of that interests you, please hit that subscribe button so you are notified for free of future videos. But let's jump into it. So if you are not new here, then you already know this, but I am a back planner. I'm not sure exactly what the term is, but I do not put things in our planner in advance. I only put things in our planner that we've actually completed or I know we are going to complete that day. A couple reasons for that. One, like I mentioned, I am a nurse. My schedule changes. So I don't know, like right now, I don't know what my schedule is for February. So there would be no point for me to schedule out what we plan on doing in February because I don't even know what days we're going to actually be doing school. Another thing is that I noticed really quickly when my oldest was in kindergarten that when I would plan ahead what we were going to do, that I became really stressed out if we did not get everything completed. And when there are so many variables of having young learners, having a toddler, meltdowns, kids not feeling well and stuff like that, things change all the time. And so I just decided I'm only going to do in our planner what we actually completed. However, what the problem is then is that either things get put to the wayside and then you have one day that's way more heavy school than you intended because you're trying to catch up and things like that. And so I did do a video when I was thinking about setting up for our school. I'll leave the video I'm talking about down below, but in that video I talked about doing a day 1 through day 4 like a block schedule, I guess you want to call it, things that I want to do on those days. And so that way, when I do open up our planner, I know roughly what we're going to do so that things don't get pushed to the side or forgotten. And then you don't have one day that's particularly heavy at all. I never did that because I found out that I was pregnant and I quickly became fatigued and never did it. And I was like, well, why should I do this? Things are going fine just the way they are. But I'm noticing that I just want to get some more of that mental space off of me. And so far this has been working really, really well. So I wanted to share it with you guys. So I just have a generic teacher planner from Target. And in here, I can't show you the actual papers that I'm going to reference because it has my child's name on it. But I just have day 1, day 2, day 3, and day 4 written on here with the rough guidelines of what we should accomplish that day. Now, I'm going to say, as far as my preschooler, she's going to be doing whatever her next letter is, as well as her next math lesson every day that we do school, unless it's a rough day for her. She's about 4.5 right now. We just started doing kindergarten math with confidence with her, which is going great. And then we're doing all about reading, the pre-reading with purposeful preschool mixed into there. She likes to sit in on our history readings and she loves doing those. So if she wants to, she can be involved or an art project or whatever. But I'm really only focusing on math and learning letters and letter sounds with her. So those are going to be the same for her every day that we do school. Now we do Build Your Library, and Build Your Library has all these different components, and it's a 5-day-a-week program. They include literature, your history reading, copy work, they have activities, they have poetry and nature study and all that stuff. And it's divided, like I said, days 1 through 5. You can totally do it as a 4-day-a-week curriculum. And in fact, when we did Build Your Library, the kindergarten level around the world journey, we were able to do pretty much all of the reading 3 days a week. And you just get into your groove of what you want to do. So what I did is I went into the Build Your Library Ancients, that's what we're doing right now, curriculum, and I looked through the first 2 months or so to get a kind of a flow for how they have things scheduled. And I used that in mind when I went and divided this out into my days. So for day 1 and day 2, these two are pretty much the same. We are going to do the bulk of our history readings within those 2 days. So for example, this uses the History Quest Ancients or Early Times for this curriculum. So for this first week, we were only reading the introduction, and then we had another book called Archaeologists Dig for Clues, and those readings were divided out between 2 days within the 5-day period. We read the introduction and we read that full book in days 1 and 2. Then we also did our copy work and our narration cards for this day. Now, this is a really cool concept when it comes to oral narration, or what they do for narration, because this is a Charolette Mason Inspired type curriculum. So she has all these different cards with different ideas, such as like drawing an illustration for the read aloud that you did, or build a diorama, or say 5 things that you learned about in your reading today, and the kids pull out a card and then they do whatever is on that card. So things are always changing and new and exciting. And then copy work. So they have it scheduled to have copy work and narration on different days and alternating them. We're just going to do both of those on days 1 and day 2. On day 1 is when they usually have their activity set up. So the first week's activity was to interview a older family member, and so we're actually going to be doing that today. Obviously, if it's really busy that day, this is all meant to change and I can be flexible with it, but it's just to help me keep things straight in my brain. So the activity day is set aside for day 1. And then as far as the read aloud, so right now we are reading The Tale of Despereaux. We're going to do that reading days 1 through day 4, and on one of those days we will double up on the reading. Then we are going to do spelling and math on every single day as well. So for just a recap, so day 1 and day 2, we're going to do all of the history readings are read aloud. Copy work and narration card, day 1 will have the activity, and then spelling and math for both of those days. And then for day 3, because we did the majority of our reading heavier stuff on day 1 and day 2, it frees up time for some of the extra things that we have. So for day 3, we are doing our read aloud, because we're going to continue that every day. We Build Your Library also has a poetry, art, and mythology when it comes to the ancients. And so I just put all of those down for day 3, depending on how things go. Like, for example, the first couple weeks, there is no mythology reading, so we don't have to worry about that. If we want to do both, or do all of the poetry and art on that day, that's fine. And if we're not able to finish it, it will flow in to the next day. My son, because we're not doing the extra reading and stuff like that, the copy work, any other things like that, he will do his morning menu. I have done videos on our menus before. I will link it down below, but pretty much he's just focusing on calendar work, memorizing our address, and solidifying our phone numbers and things like that. So he will work on his menu. He will be doing handwriting. We are doing a new handwriting book that I just got off of Amazon, as well as his spelling. He will also be doing math, because we're doing math every day, and he will do a lesson from All About Reading. Now, All About Reading, he's in level 2. He's more than halfway done. I feel very comfortable on slowing him down on some of this stuff because he's reading in a 3rd grade level at this point, and he's very good about using context clues and the other words around it to figure out the correct pronunciation of the words. The all about reading right now is just to help solidify the actual rules and stuff. So he's still doing reading the other days, but we're only going to do the all about reading lessons on day 3 and day 4 and kind of back off on that. And then we have a couple of our extra stuff that doesn't have to really do with curriculum. I had purchased a natural disasters unit study that I planned on us doing in the winter months because we are doing nature study when it comes to our science this year. Now, I don't have that scheduled on here because we focus on our nature study just during our break. So we do 6 weeks on, 1 to 2 weeks off. And during that off time is when we do our nature study. So I don't have it scheduled in here. However, the natural disasters unit that I got, I want us to focus on if there's a fire, where do we meet in our neighborhood? If there's a tornado, what do we do? All of those things, and that's in that natural disasters unit. So we will do some lessons out of there. And then for my preschooler, I have some science worksheets and books and stuff like that specifically for her to learn about the life cycle of things and to practice her cutting and pasting and all of that stuff. I've got that in there for day 3 to do some more one-on-one with her. She doesn't need to do that stuff every day because she's doing very light school, but I put it in here as a reminder to myself to sit down and take the time to do that. And then on day 4, we will do our read aloud, like I mentioned. We will finish or do any overlap for the poetry, art, or mythology that we didn't finish on day 3. There is poetry memorization in here. I'm not sure how well my son's going to do with that. We will focus on those on day 3 and day 4, but I'm not sure how strict we're going to be on the memory work. He will do his menu, his handwriting and spelling, his math, and his reading. And because ideally we would have finished any art projects or stuff like that the day before, we have an anger book that we were doing on the side that I want to actually schedule in our school and include my preschooler in on it. So we're going to be doing that as an actual curriculum now, and that'll be only on day 4. And then if we have, day 4 is kind of the catch-all day. So if there's anything extra from the natural disasters unit or reading we didn't finish, other points in the week, we will finish all that on day 4. So like I said, I don't have set days for what days we do school. It just depends entirely on my work schedule. But this is just a nice little outline. So what I do that day before or the night before when I'm setting out all of our school stuff on the table is I look at what we did the previous day to figure out what day we are at on here, and I use this as the outline, and I will pull out the Build Your Library curriculum to figure out what I need to complete for that day. So for example, this is how I kind of have set up my planner, so I'm just going to reference here. I just have different categories for ELA, math, history, science, arts, and any extras that we do. So for example, on Monday we did day 1, and so we did spelling, our read aloud. We doubled up on our Tale of Despereaux reading because my son was begging for more reading. He loves that book. We did our copy work and narration card. He did a lesson of math. We did the history reading, and then I'm going to specify what that reading is to help me reference for the next day. Because like I said, my schedule is kind of sporadic. So if there's a 3-day gap, I want to know exactly what reading we did. So we did the introduction, and then archaeologists dig for clues that first half of the reading. And then my preschooler reviewed her letters, and she actually wanted to do 3 different lessons for her math. So we completed those. And then she wanted to do more in-depth study on snowflakes. And my son wasn't as interested when it came to that for our nature study because we've already done a lot of that stuff together when he was younger. So we did that on this day as well because she requested it and it was right before bedtime. So that's everything we did for school for that day. Then when we moved to the next day for day 2, I wrote down that we did spelling, our read aloud, and the chapters we did for that, the copy work and narration card, a math lesson, the rest of the history reading, and then we during our snack time we read some books on hibernation, and we are going to do that interview that I talked about. We're going to do that interview with their Nana later today, which is the activity for this week for Build Your Library. So this has been working really, really well. I didn't realize how much mental weight it was going to take off of my brain just writing things down, and I think I have this set up in a way that's flexible enough that it's going to be able to work with our schedule, because like I said, I can't plan necessarily too far in advance for our school. So I'm really, really hopeful. This seems like it's hitting all the marks so far, and I'm pretty excited with how well it's going. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really lets me know what kind of videos you like to see on this channel. Leave a comment down below. Let me know, especially if you're a working parent, how you are able to juggle the homeschool and stuff. And even more importantly, if you have a inconsistent schedule, I would love to know any tips and tricks that you have. Hit that subscribe button. It is a free way for you to be notified of future videos, and I can't wait to catch you guys next time. Bye.